But to kind of compare, like, what Susie was feeling and the insecurities when it came down to the end, you were final 2 on your season, correct? On Chris's season?
Yes.
What was going through your head during that time? Like, fantasy suites, and did you think, like, is he sleeping with somebody else? Does he love someone else?
You know, looking back at that, now that I'm in a relationship, excuse me, now that I'm in a relationship that's like, I'm obsessed with the person I'm with, I realize how I wasn't as into Chris as, like, I think I look back on that time because I remember in that time being like, I'm not going to sleep with him. That's not going to be my fantasy suite experience, but he might sleep with the other girls, and it's not necessarily a deal breaker for me because I just kind of expected it. However, if my significant other did that now, I would be like Susie. I'd be like, absolutely not.
Oh, that's so interesting. Wait, I have a question. So did you think that from the beginning you weren't going to sleep with him, or after meeting him and after it getting down to it, you were, because, you know, some people are like, I'm just not going to have sex on TV. Like, was that the vibe, or?
I was a virgin. Right? So I was a virgin waiting for marriage. So when it got done, and the whole time, like, I didn't even want to go onto the show and say that I was a virgin. Like, I said that I was a virgin. It was kind of an accidental moment while I was comforting Ashley and I was like, oh, me too. And then I was like, I have like 18 cameras and a microphone on. So immediately that became kind of my, you know, story. That was my storyline. Mm-hmm. And I told him at Fantasy Suites, and, you know, he was cool with it. He was like, cool, respectful, everything. And then, so that was just understood.
Right. So that was your mindset. So that's interesting that you say that, because with Susie, it's like some people were like, oh, this is her cop-out. In my mind, too. I was like, this is her cop-out. She's not so into Clayton, and this is why she's saying this now. Whereas you're like, no, I couldn't even imagine my person hooking up with someone else, and I would be so pissed about that. So it's great to hear that perspective for me, at least, because I'm like, this show is this show, and...
Yeah. It's always been that way.
Yeah,
it's always been that. And maybe you go into something like that and you know that that's the show, and then it gets to the end and you're like, wow, these feelings are real. And the thought of him sleeping with 2 of my now friends, I'm assuming, is really uncomfortable for me. But the whole thing, I saw every side of it. I didn't feel like Clayton. I think Clayton knows he didn't handle it well. Like, I think that was a very obvious assumption. Yeah. And I'm glad. I mean, they actually genuinely seem so happy and in love that I was like, I think this could actually work out for them.